Yo, Jez7780 with a What Grinds My Gears episode 55. Can't believe it's that many episodes. Well, I took a little bit of a longer break just for my voice. I had the allergies. I'm still trying to get over them, but figured out I want to do some stuff here, talk about some topics, not too crazy, just stuff that's going on. And, little things that I've been picking up over the last week. I was on playing Xbox last night, and some of the things that came up with the Halo thing, I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit. Plus, the news I just wanted to talk about, I just found out, man, the E to the Izzo to the A is not going to have a presser at E3. What's up, Savage? What's up, the Coon? How you guys doing? We're gonna rock these topics. Hopefully, you don't stay too long. Oh yeah, what's up, Duan? Yeah, Devil May Cry 5. I am on that. I love myself. Devil May Cry 4 was the first one I played. I didn't play the other ones. I probably missed out on those other ones. I heard they were hard, but I liked 4. That was the first one I played. And then DMC I played. I played about halfway through that one. I stopped playing it after that one. I have that on PC. But yeah, Devil May Cry 5 looks hot. I love those games. Those games are action-packed blockbusters. Definitely looking forward to that one. But EA is not going to have... Oh, lucky you. I'm playing a few hours. I got to wait. So don't call me Danny, man. How you doing? So EA is not going to have an E3 presser this year, 2019. So Sony's a no-show. They're not going to be there. EA already got off the floor, and have their own EA Play. But EA now is going to not have a presser, which, you know what? I think that's good for them because their pressers sucked. They sucked bad. They were corny. It was usually probably, especially the sports montage. Oh, my goodness. The sports montage. My goodness. EA. And then they even had Andrea Renee last year, like in the crowd trying to talk up the EA Play thing. And you know what? I think EA just needs to take a step back. You know, that Anthem stuff, they got to fix that. But my goodness. Yeah, right? The Kun, that's another question. Bethesda. And they got to go out there and say, we're sorry, basically. They go, oops. And the Ubisoft one is corny. I agree. Don't call me Danny. Ubisoft has been rough, too. Bethesda might have to go out there and wash the dirty taste out of everybody's mouth to Fallout 76 with, like, maybe Oblivion or something like that. Yes, Eddie. When they brought Pele on stage at E3 Presser, my goodness. They have the whole montage. They have the sports guys come out and talk about, oh, my goodness. Yeah, EA, oh, goodness. They were bad. They had some bad presses. And then they do like a Battlefield kind of multiplayer thing. And it's probably good that they don't have one. You know, just do some gameplay online, but they're not having a press conference. So, you know, a lot of the news we've been getting out of E3 has always been the press conferences, you know, between Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, and then whatever new games, you know, the other guys want to show, Bethesda, things like that. And, you know, the fact that we're not getting that, I'm going to be really interested to see how that news translates to us. You know, whether it's just some YouTube or some tweets, and it'd be kind of interesting. But Microsoft is the biggest publisher now, besides, I guess, Bethesda, but Bethesda's not as big as Microsoft. But that's holding on. And Nintendo is going to do Nintendo Direct. They don't, you know, they have no Reggie to go on stage anyway. So it is going to be. What's up, Twisted? How you doing, man? It's going to be interesting E3. You know, maybe there's some validity to what Sean Layden's saying, how, you know, it was a trade show and now it's not. It's really changing, but I don't know. It is going to be very, very interesting on how news is delivered. But Microsoft is going to hold the fort down with their press conference. I guess they'll do it on a Sunday. You know, they did it on Sundays because Sony went on Mondays and they wanted to own the day. Well, they're going to own, you know, whatever if Sony doesn't have any streaming. My thing is, this is what I think, talking about EA, is that I think that there's going to be a lot of news and social media. Like I do think that Sony, even though that EA is still there though. That's the thing. I think EA is still there with EA Play, so people are going to play some of this stuff. But Sony's just not there at all. They're not on the floor. They don't have a conference. But I guarantee you, Sony is going to probably drop news that whole week, either through Twitter, either through YouTube, just that week when everybody's looking for gaming news. I'm sure they're going to do like a social media blast on game release dates, maybe new trailers to games, sort of like have an E3 remote without having the whole pomp and circumstance of, the orchestra and all that other stuff. Instead of being this formal presser or formal conference. But we will see. Sony's been real quiet, and Microsoft has seemed not to close their mouths, which I kind of think, well, I don't know. I feel like it should have been kind of reversed. I think Microsoft needs to rebuild, and they should stop talking about stuff, making promises. Don't make a woman a promise you can't keep. Like, don't make promises you can't. Like, just stop talking. I think that's my biggest pet peeve with Microsoft is just that they don't seem to stop talking about this everything. And they're shooting themselves in the foot. I just think they need to be quiet, stop building it, and show it. If it's not ready to be shown, then don't talk about it. That's my opinion on what Microsoft's doing. I feel like they're going to go on E3 and talk some more. And you know what? We'll see. We saw what happened on Crackdown. They talked the big game of Cloud, and the Cloud became a joke when Crackdown came out. So you can see how that affects them. But Sony, we'll see what they do at E3. But it's interesting that they don't believe in these press conferences. Like EA took themselves off the floor, and now they're not going to have a press conference. So we'll see. Ubisoft probably will still do that, and Bethesda, who said that? The Coon, if Bethesda's going to have one, I don't know, because some of the stuff they showed at last year's Bethesda conference didn't show up. The Doom game. I haven't seen anything more about Doom, the Doom Eternal, I think it is. So I don't know what the hell. Yeah, I have no clue, no freaking clue if Bethesda's going to show. But they should probably show and just say we're sorry. We gotta get Todd Howard out there. But you know what? It's looking more and more. Microsoft's gonna, and with every day coming forward, Microsoft's pressure for E3 is building and building, and we'll see. My thing is that with all these third parties and guys not having a stage to show their games, I think Microsoft is going to be kind of the one-person show to show all these kind of multi-plat games and things like that. But I don't know. It's going to be real interesting. It's going to be definitely a different E3. We're not going to have the face-off that we have. I think we'll probably get that again next year, or Sony's going to see how it works and maybe not go to E3 next year. I don't know. It's getting kind of weird. I do like this just stealth release of game. And you even see, Apex Legends, like these stealth releases. Like, you just release a game. You don't need this kind of we got to show it at E3. Then you got to wait until next E3 to see gameplay. And then you got to get the game come out. I think that whole build up to E3, Microsoft's still on that train. And I think Nintendo has started this. And I think Sony's going to try to follow Nintendo's steps in that it's always good to kind of trickle out news, release dates, have that time to yourself and do that way rather than building up this hype for E3 and then not showing what people want to see and then maybe having that come backfire. But then maybe Microsoft could balance that out with some inside Xboxes and kind of use that. But those haven't been too hot in sharing news. But we will see. There's one on March 12th. They're bringing a Master Chief Collection there. I think it'll be kind of I'm looking forward to Master Chief on PC. I think that'll be great. Hopefully, since I own it, it'll be great that it just comes over. That'll be great too. But I just think it's kind of weird that they'll go inside Xbox and announce it for PC. It's just kind of, I know Xbox is PC and all this other stuff, but still, it's just weird. I don't know. I'm still trying to take all this in myself. Like I became less kind of, I know that the 360 is not the 360 era, and Microsoft's belief in a gaming console and being the console to lead gamers and stuff like that. That ship has sailed. It is about just getting as many people as possible to play your games on wherever they play. And, to accept that, you got to just say they became console agnostic. They basically, the console's an option. It's out there if you want to play on their TV. But otherwise, it's really, it's not the thing that's driving their business. And we know that. And, and my biggest switcheroo, I'll tell you right now, like, I would ungrind if Microsoft comes out at the C3 and says there will be next generation only exclusives, like Anaconda exclusive or Lockhart Anaconda only on the platform, only on that, not on PC, not on that, because then I know that these games are being built from the ground up to run on that hardware. And that's my biggest problem. It's not that, like I mentioned in my previous show, it's not the exclusives. Exclusives are just nanny poo-poo you can't play. It's more so is that there's targeted development for a specific piece of hardware. That's what I like. That's how you get God of War to run on a PlayStation 4 Slim. You target specific fixed hardware and you develop for that. It's focused development. And when you have so many options out there, we got to have, and I said this last time, stream on the S, stream this, stream, it has to be optimized for all these PCs. It has to be optimized for this. And you got all that stuff. What's up, Joseph Baby Man? How you doing? Shout out, New York. But yes, like if you have to develop for all those different types of things, I think quality of the game or the game, there's compromises that have to be made for that kind of development. Whereas if it's like, just make this work on a Switch, just make this work on the PlayStation 5, I think you get a better quality game, a focused development game, and you're not worried about all this other stuff. And I think Microsoft has kind of put themselves in that position now where their development studios are going to have to worry about all different types of configurations of PCs, Xboxes, backwards compatibility, streaming, blah, 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 blah. And, yes, exactly. And and that's what I said. And I'm not going to repeat the exclusive stuff, but the Coon's right. Like exclusives, imagine Netflix got the rights to streaming live the end of like Game of Thrones. Exactly. Exclusives matter. Okay. Exclusives friggin' matter. Game of Thrones, HBO was like making money, like hand over fist of a Game of Thrones. It's exclusives matter. And I felt, and I said this yesterday too, if Phil Spencer wants more people to play their games, they could just put out demos, do a 5-hour trial. If you want more people to play your game, just do that. You don't have to put it in Game Pass with subscriptions. I know, Mark, man. I know. We are dinosaurs and we have to accept it. I accepted it. It is what it is. They got to put their games everywhere. But my biggest problem is the focused development. And we'll see. We'll see if it matters, if it works, or if it doesn't work. But I just think Nintendo and Sony are poised in the more traditional sense to make games specifically for their hardware, which makes us as an end user, as a gamer, excited to know that this game is running at what it's meant to run at. It's not like, it's compromised and all that other stuff. And I feel like Microsoft might be stretching themselves too thin with their game development. Well, because they're focused on so many different options. And I think that's another reason why they keep focusing on tools to make developers realize that, it would work on other things. But still, I'm finding in the last couple of years, we talk a lot about everybody wants to play the game. Everybody can play the games, but we're not seeing a lot of people who want to play their games. And that's an issue. Just think if Game of Thrones was on Netflix, was on HBO, and HBO's like, well, everybody should watch Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones started sucking and nobody wants to watch it anymore. Syndicated TV, right? Does people want to watch? You need to have a demand. Right now, Microsoft's focusing on supply. They're focusing on making sure it's out there. But now they need to build the demand with content. And I know I went on a sidetrack, but actually this goes right into the streaming and the Game Pass future, talking about that and, this Game Pass and streaming. And then just today, Sony stealth releases update 6.5, and now they allow for PS4 remote play on iOS, which is very interesting because I thought Apple had restrictions to streaming games on their platform because I don't think you could do that with Steam. But now they have it on iOS. Now, no guest today, man. It's just me. Just little old me. Little old grinder. And now you could do PS4 remote play to an iOS device. You could do it to Sony Xperia devices and to the Vita. I've played a little bit streaming. It works in my home, but when I go outside, I don't know if it's my router configuration or things like that, but it doesn't work that well. It doesn't connect, and it's unreliable. But the biggest difference with that, and that's been around for a while, and also the Xbox has done it with the PC streaming Xbox to your PC a while ago. The thing is, though, is that it requires a console. It requires an Xbox. It requires a PlayStation 4 for the streaming from the boxes. That is different than xCloud, which is independent of you owning a console. So I just saw people just going back and forth and trying to say that, the PS4 remote play is the same thing as xCloud and everybody's streaming now and that's it, boxes. And it's different. It's different. Because I think the biggest problem, and, when I talk about this going streaming thing, and I said this last night, the problem I have, Microsoft is all in on this future, right? That's good. I tried working the streaming thing. I have it to my Vita. But the biggest thing is that they're all in. They want this. They don't care who plays their games, where they play their games. Nintendo and Sony are still holding on to that Game of Thrones exclusive HBO. Like, they're still holding on that you need to come to us on all electronic devices to play the games. So when people just go that Sony's doing streaming, they're going to do the future that Microsoft's doing. Hold your phone. Microsoft's doing this, okay? PlayStation, Nintendo are not going to risk their platform, their hardware, to do this. Microsoft is taking a big risk right now. It's taking a big risk. It is flooding the market, just like White Sky says. They're going to have 5 consoles: Anaconda, Lockhart, the S, the X, the SAD, the all digital, and xCloud, if you call it a platform. They're flooding the market with options of hardware just to get you on the platform. And no matter, they're giving you all these options because you're going to play where you're going to play. Now, whether that's sustainable, all those pieces of hardware, I don't know. Microsoft is real keen on dropping stuff if it doesn't find success. And that's something that people just don't kind of want to acknowledge, that Microsoft does drop hardware pretty quick. Zune, Band, Groover software, Windows Phone. And they didn't come out and just go, Windows Phone is dead. Guys, it's dead. No, they go, no, we're still making hardware. They made another phone or two, but they lost app dev support. So Microsoft right now is flooding the market with hardware. They're pushing the services. But guys, as you know, they're not talking games. Everybody's happy with the studios, but they're not talking games. They're not talking about telling stories. They're not talking about making the biggest games ever. When you hear them talk, it's more about the tech. It's more about the tools. It's more about the where you're going to play your games. They're talking to developers right now. Whenever Microsoft is getting on there, they are talking to developers because that's what killed Windows Phone. And I use the Xbox now as more analogous to how Windows Phone's demise was. Microsoft could not get developer support for their Windows Phone. I had the Windows Phone. I was looking, Joe Belfiore, the guy who Belfiore ran the Windows Phone. They were paying devs to make apps for their phone. They were paying them because they couldn't get, developers were not interested in the low percentile, the low install base of Windows Phone. So hear that. They didn't want to make things for a lower install base when iPhone and Android were dominating. Well, come to Xbox. If Microsoft doesn't care about selling the console, and Xbox is the third console, and Sony and Nintendo are dominating the console space, who's going to develop for the Xbox console? They realize this. So they're like, well, let's just say it's not about the console anymore, but it's about our platform. So when somebody says they want to develop for Xbox, they'll be for PC and Xbox and xCloud, trying to sell a developer on that idea rather than just looking at how the hardware is selling. Now, Microsoft has a big game to play. Like it is going to be a lot of talking, a lot of salesmanship, and a lot of demonstration. And you see what they're doing. They're demonstrating with their own games. They're risking their own games to try to prove this concept. And you know what? We're 3 years into this Play Anywhere thing, right? How successful has Gears of War 4 been on PC? Forza Horizon 4. You know, that's a 700 million install base, almost 1 billion people that have access to these games now on Windows 10. They're not all gamers. That kind of defeats the purpose of put your game everywhere and you'll see a huge growth. You know? And then games like Crackdown, who knows where that's going to be on NPD? But NPD is take a look where Crackdown is on NPD. And then you'll say, but it's Game Pass. That's another trick move that they did. You really can't quantify. And Phil Spencer says this a lot. I listen to a lot of his interviews. Well, I can't really show a developer an A/B case scenario because you don't know how well it did in Game Pass and how well it would do out of Game Pass. Exactly, the Coon. They gave refunds for low Call of Duty sales on the Windows 10 store. That's a failure of UWP, which apparently, according to Windows Central, is dead already. They're already moving on to something else. The tech gets very confusing. And I find covering Microsoft, looking to Microsoft, it has become more about the tech promises and more windows into my Xbox gaming than anything else. That I might as well, that basically what I said was, screw the console. If you're going to throw Windows into the console, then I might as well just get a Windows computer. And that's what I did to play the games that they're going to offer. Because the Xbox was not its own thing anymore. It became more and more Windows, more and more Windows. Now it's a device. So this streaming future, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The thing is that it's available now. Like you could stream games now and do stuff now. But there's problems. Like just for example, the Sony streaming, right? The streaming games to the iPad, you can't use a DualShock because Sony doesn't allow for Bluetooth controllers. Only controllers that they approve. They're a closed system. So how successful is that going to be? Android is a little more freelance with Bluetooth controllers. So you could do that with Android. But the thing is that, and then also too, cost. Are you going to pay $60 for a game that you could stream? Or are you going to automatically, you see, a lot of people are just assuming that, oh, I own 100 games and all 100 games are coming with me on my phone. What if you have to pay? What if you have to pay $10, $15 or $5 a month to access your games remotely? You just think it's free? Like like that could kill streaming immediately if it's another subscription. Well, I pay for Game Pass, and you might have to pay for streaming too. $10 for Game Pass, $5 to stream your games. People just assuming it's free. That's why you can't say it's going to be dominating. And then I see people, 5G. That's what 5G is about. Really? And what happens when we're depending on 5G to stream a game and T-Mobile goes, you know what? You want to use our 5G bands and, to play games? It's another $5 a month, please, to access the 5G network, unlimited data. You don't know. We don't know. So streaming is going to be as successful as the pricing. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, people are going to make money. This is not free. Really? Yeah. On a side note, it says Microsoft, you don't believe marketing for Cyberpunk? Twisted says Sony has been posting CDPR Cyberpunk videos for a few days now. The last one about Cyberpunk. I don't know. Well, considering Microsoft's success with their marketing games, they just seem to put like the jinx on their games. Who knows? But the games that they've been picking for marketing have not been that great. The Tomb Raider, like they've been just not real critical successes. I don't know what their success has not been that great. Like with Anthem bundle, the Fallout 76 bundle that they had to liquidate, get it out of there. Maybe the Division 2 bundle, I think, will probably be okay. But their other bundles have not. And Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus was a pretty good game. That one didn't. That one was a good bundle, but they overlapped it. It was like 2 days apart. Those two bundles. I don't know. Their bundles suck. That's all I'm saying. Their effort in their bundles goes into their effort in basically their console. That's the thing. You put in what you put out. You give us a lazy ass bundle with some game thrown in there, no customized skin or anything like that, no effort made. People are not going to flock to that bundle unless the game is that incredible. But you know what? I bet you a Fallout 76 customized bundle would have done it, customized Fallout 76 just for a Fallout fan. The game could suck, but I'll get this custom one. Exactly. The Spider-Man PS4 sold like hotcakes. The God of War one. The Kingdom Hearts one. Sony's getting better, but still their designs are a little lacking. But still, it shows you put some friggin' effort into it. Same thing with the controllers. Like, no controller, they make a billion controllers. Make one about a friggin' game. I don't need retro green and sky blue. Why don't you make one about friggin' why don't you make one about a Crackdown? At least you could salvage something out of the franchise. But we'll see. And that's the thing where I feel when like Microsoft's like, well, the console's not that important. We don't care. The console, it's there, but we don't make money. Like, oh my God, that Phil Spencer basically like loves the PC in that PC interview. The console, we don't make the money. That's not where the money's made. It's in the software, blah, blah, blah. Well, I see your efforts in the console space, and you know what? You're putting in less effort. And they just talk so much. Just stop talking and bring some quality content. And I know it's a stall tactic because that stuff that they have, it just shocks me that they had nothing. Nothing. Besides Gears and Ori and Crackdown, they really had nothing. They had to buy these studios. There was nothing else. That's the shock to me. That is the shock. Like without those studio purchases, they had zilch. They had no second party deals. They had nothing. That's why they're stalling. We're talking about all this other stuff. They're basically selling you a burger without the meat. That's how I feel every time they talk about we're going streaming. Clicks, clouds, and PCs, and everybody should play. And play what? Play what? You're selling the burger without the meat. Just a bun. You need to have some substance. And my thing was that they should have developed a core set of games, a great lineup of exclusive games, and then started outreaching rather than reaching with empty hands. Because you're not going to get if you throw Crackdown 3 on an Android phone, they're not playing it on the console. Your most valuable gamer is not playing it. Who's playing it on an Android phone? And that's the thing that just seems that they don't get. Need the content. And E3 better be that friggin' content. I'm not waiting though. You know what? I'm just saying E3 better be that content for the people who really, really still believe. I'm along for the ride. I was on the Microsoft roller coaster up and down. We're going here. We're going streaming. We're going this way. We're going down. Oh, we got Kinect games are coming. The HoloLens is coming. Oh, just listening to your Groove music in your games. Oh, next year we cancel Groove music. And now you can use Spotify streaming. Go to Spotify. Snap feature. Oh, we're taking it back. We're going to do overlays. Oh, Cortana, she's in there. She can help you find your friends. Oh, no, she's gone. She's not going to be an assistant anymore. Nah, man, I'm done with the roll. I jumped off the roller coaster. I got my PC. I got my free Windows Game Pass, and they will come to me. They will put Game Pass on PC. They will bring Master Chief to me. Master Chief Collection. They will bring Halo Infinite to me, and I will be here. And I'll enjoy my console games on the Nintendo and on the PlayStation 4 because there are games on there and VR experiences all on one-to-one roof. And Microsoft, until you sort your stuff out, I will live here on PC. You're putting all your effort on PC. You can't stop talking about it. So that's where you should go. That's where I'm going. That's where I went. And they can release 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't care how many consoles they release. They don't care about the console. That's the thing. That's what you need to say. They don't care about the console. The console does not make money for them. So they are just throwing it out there to satisfy the people who care about the console. But they themselves don't care about the console. They don't care if it sells 100 million, 200 million, or 0. It does not matter. I think the only way it matters is to keep people still subscribing to Xbox Live because the console player is the only one that's paying out the ass for it. Nobody else is playing for it. That's another reason why I'll live here. I'll play Crackdown with my friends. Hear this. I played the technical alpha. That even wasn't exclusive to Crackdown 3. You could log the Insider Xbox app on your computer. You're an Inside Xbox app. Get access to the Crackdown 3 beta. Jumped online with my friends. Talked to them on Xbox Live through my computer. Played a couple matches without being an Xbox Live subscriber. Then a week later, I get an email on my Xbox messages. Thank you for trying the beta. Here's a free month of Xbox Live Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass. And then I use my 14-day trial that I have a bunch of them from PAX East last year. I'm probably going to get tons more this year. To play Crackdown when it came out and beat it in 2 days. Well, I'm near the end of it. And I'm really not enthused to go beat it. There's not much left. I played it for about 8 hours. And I played the multiplayer for probably about half hour, and I got 50% of the achievements in the multiplayer. Shows a lot of thought went into that, right? But I did that without spending one dime. I didn't have to subscribe for Xbox Live. I didn't have to buy the game for $60. And then rewarded me with another month of Game Pass. What's up, Daniel, man? How you doing? But hear that option, as opposed to somebody who on Xbox has to pay for $60 for a year for Xbox Live. You find it for $40 maybe. Then has to play that stuff. Wow, is it dead? You can't get a match. Well, they killed records. They still don't have the player matchmaking. You cannot matchmake with your friends. Still, another week or two out. It's a dead zone. Nobody's playing it on my friends list. I got 200 friends. Nobody's playing it. Phil Spencer's not even playing it. He just keeps playing the single player. But they killed it. They killed the franchise. They killed Crackdown 3. You're never going to see Crackdown 4. Unless Phil demands it. that they killed their franchise. They gave their franchise that maybe could have had a turning point, but because they cared more about the cloud, they threw it out there, man. Wow, 4,000. So, you know what? And the other thing, too, is that Game Pass is getting the mediocrity stench. You know? Just Cause 4, I like Just Cause 4. They just put that in Game Pass. But I'm going to tell you the issue with that and Rise of the Tomb Raider, the Shadow of the Tomb Raider. By putting games in there within a 3 or 4 month one, it is going to cause people not to, and Smooth was saying this yesterday, it's going to cause people not to jump day one on a game. They're just going to wait. You're basically going to create sort of like what the PC dudes are. Like if a game's not coming to their platform, they won't go out and buy a platform for it. They'll wait until you turn blue in the face and wait for the game to be on Steam. That's what they'll do. Like there are people that wait for Metro. I'm not downloading Epic. It will have to be on Steam and I will wait it out because they got a lot of other games to play. The problem with this is that Microsoft is going to set this precedent that you don't need to buy games. Just subscribe to Game Pass and those games will come, you know? Yeah, still waiting on Red Dead, right? It's all right, Eddie. They'll wait. They will wait until PC gamers will wait you out. They're like a friggin' sniper. They'll wait. They'll just sleep there and just wait and wait. They will not move because there's tons of games to play on PC. But if you're hungering for games, then you might be that. And you're right, Daniel. Like the problem they have is a lot of people subscribe, and that's what they must see. A lot of people subscribe, but probably what they figure is like, oh, if 100 people jump on and subscribe, what's up, Blue? How you doing, man? Oh, you got 100 people that subscribe, right? And then maybe like 80 of them cancel their subscriptions, but maybe you keep like 10 to 15 or maybe 20 of those 100, and they just forget about it, or they find another game in Game Pass that they might want to play. That's what they're doing. Which sucks is that they're using mediocre games. They're using games that really are unacceptable. That game should have party matching with your friends. Your friggin' Xbox Live. How can you miss that? Especially when the cloud was all the talk, and that is the weakest part of it. That's the thing that pissed me off about Crackdown 3 was that it wasn't like one of those game modes was amazing. It wasn't like the multiplayer was incredible going, so that's why it took so long. The multiplayer was incredible. The single player was an add-on. That's the reason why. Or the campaign was dynamite and the multiplayer was lacking. They focus on them. That's why I understand now why one was better than the other. One was mediocre, and then the multiplayer was garbage. Like, it was the worst case scenario. It wasn't even like one better than the other. Oh, they put a lot of focus on that. No, it was a mediocre, empty shell of an open world game that just had side missions to draw out bosses and go jump around for orbs. No side missions, no, except for racing. No no mission variety at all except blow this up and unleash this. Nothing. No escort missions. No, let's do some funny like a train or nothing. Nothing. It was straightforward, bare bones, let's go open world game. Very lacking in any kind of like world development, like mission structure, anything. It was very bland. Sea of Thieves was like that, right? 3 types of fetch quests. Go get pigs, go get treasure chests, and go get flowers. That's what Sea of Thieves was. 3 fetch quests. Very limiting. And then they started throwing more and more enemies in there. So there's been a lot of issues with the quality of their games. And Game Pass is holding the value of those games in its service. Like, this is what they're doing. This is what they're, and there's another video. There's a video, I think I shared it. It's like, look at Crackdown 3 versus Crackdown 1. And the guy goes, there's more detail on Crackdown 1, like the streets, they're slummy. There's like all like and in Crackdown 3, they're just flat surfaces. Like they're basically there's no debris, there's nothing. And then one of the craziest things in that video is the fact that the guy's walking down the street in Crackdown 1 and you hear ambiance, you hear people conversating and stuff like that on the characters. And then he does it in Crackdown 3, and there's just 3 people just pointing at each other. There's no voiceovers. There's nothing. There's nothing. Like, it's silence. And he goes, it's like a living city in Crackdown 1. In Crackdown 3, it's like just a sterile city. Nobody's making noises. The traffic is not apparent. There's no traffic, like not a lot of traffic. It's not a living world. But you got to watch the video. Like, it is insane. Yes, it might look cleaner and bigger graphics and even some texture stuff. But if you look at Crackdown 1, it was definitely going along the GTA style. And, it had more grit to it. And it was more of like, you're a cop in a gritty world trying to solve crimes. Like, you are an agent. Like, there is no random crime generator. Like, there's no random crimes. There's nothing going on. The world is dead. But that's my Crackdown 3 spiel. But the whole thing goes to it is that there's inherent game design decisions and very bad. Yeah, exactly. But it's in 4K. Like, all of a sudden, 4K just washes away all the errors of game development because it's in 4K. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care. It's 4K. Go watch the video today on Devil May Cry Digital Foundries. They go like, well, it's really hard to see the difference between the X and the PlayStation 4 Pro. And the PlayStation 4 Pro has some frame rate drops. The X has a little bit more. And then the worst, and the best one to play is basically the PlayStation 4 Slim, which has a locked frame rate, and it's the most like smoothest. The worst is the S, which, when we talk about 4K, it's like we forget that the S exists. Microsoft didn't forget the S exists. They're releasing the SAD console, the all-digital S version, the one that has been destroyed. People, the Xbox One S. People don't listen to the videos of Digital Foundry. They listen to the resolution of Digital Foundry video for the Xbox One X, and then they turn off the video. They don't stick around for frame rate. They don't stick around to find out how the S performs. The S is getting this year. Listen to the Digital Foundry videos. The S is horrible. It is blurry. It is unplayable. The frame rates, like, it is bad. And Microsoft is still selling that thing for $300. And they're going to sell one now without a disc. So guess what? You go buy those bad versions of those games, you're going to be using Microsoft refunds real quick. Because you can't go trade it in anymore. But you're getting the worst versions of all games coming out. And they're even worse now. It's not just 900p and 1080p anymore. No. It is like down to 720p, blurry, just blurry textures. They don't load in. And then the frame rates are bad. It's bad. The S is bad. I couldn't even look at my S anymore. I'm like, you are trash. You can't run a game worth anything. Like, it's horrible. It's not just a resolution, like, dick measuring contest. It is poorly performed. It can't keep up. And what's crazy is that the PS4 Slim is the base console. That's the one that the games usually run the best. That's like the best optimized one. It's like, if you just want a game that runs well and looks well, go get yourself a Slim. If you want a worst performing game, go get an S. If you want a better game, go get the PlayStation 4 Pro. And if you want a Pixel Peep and you want to see some games that might have better resolutions, go spend an extra $100 to $200 and go get yourself an X. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, I feel bad for people that are going to buy the old digital version because they're not going to even have the 4K Blu-ray player. But the problem is this whole side thing about Game Pass is that Microsoft right now is starting to get a little bit of stench in Game Pass. I think it's good that they're putting games in there. I think they're good with the content of, especially the third-party content. I'm impressed with that. but it's not the biggest. It's not like Red Dead Redemption's going to Game Pass. It's like the games that were like sevens, and it was like, the games that are not doing so well. And then you could probably find them on sale for like $25. They're going into Game Pass, like as like the last hour. Like when a game is done selling in the movie theater, then they put it on Blu-ray, and then they put it on. They're like, you can go to HBO now. You can put you on HBO. Game Pass is becoming like the HBO or Netflix. Basically, it is. The movie or game has run its course. It did what it was going to do. Put it in Game Pass. And I would have been fine with Game Pass like that. But Game Pass, Microsoft's putting their games in there. And actually, their games are one of the worst games besides Forza Horizon 4. The recent games that they put in there for the last 2 years, day and date, have been bad. Yeah, and that's what Sam Ash, And Kuhn says, Game Pass or Graveyard. Yeah, pretty much. And that's going to be another perception that they're going to have to get out of, is like Game Pass. Phil goes like, oh, well, Xbox One S is the most valued console. It's for the family that just wants to get into gaming. The value. Well, you don't want Game Pass to be this kind of like, if you really are not into gaming, just get a Game Pass and keep somebody quiet for a day. There's all right games in there, but if you want big games, you're going to have to go buy them. Like, Microsoft got to like make sure that Game Pass holds its quality, because I'm telling, I don't think I explained this, but you put games like Forza Horizon 4 in there, or if Gears 5 is a really great game at 80 and 90 in there, that adds value to Game Pass, because you're like, wow, I pay $10 a month and I'm getting games that are excellent. They're full price games, $60, and I'm getting those games. But when you put a game in there that goes Crackdown 3, I wouldn't pay $60 for that. I'm glad I paid $2 for it. That doesn't add value to Game Pass. The perceived value of Game Pass is like, well, it saved me from a big mistake. That shouldn't be the reason why you sign up for Game Pass. You should sign up for Game Pass because there's a value. You're getting games that basically are more money than what you're paying. Like, that's the ideal case for any consumer. You're getting more than what you paid for. Oh, I paid $10, but this game's worth $60. Wow, what a great value. But when you're like, I paid $10, but this game I wouldn't even pay, I'm glad I got it for $2. Like, no. That doesn't add value to Game Pass. And Microsoft has to stop putting that stuff in there, especially first party. That is the worst. First party should have a certain level of polish, certain level of content. It doesn't add value. And it hurts the franchises. And speaking of franchises, I wanted to get into the final part of this with Sea of Halo. Somebody wrote that in the chat last night when I was talking about Bonnie Ross's interview with IGN. So, Ryan McCaffrey had an interview with Bonnie Ross at DICE. And she talked a lot about Halo and the mistakes of Halo 5. And, they thought it had taken too much story, too much stuff going on. And, the mistakes of trying to introduce other characters with transmedia and trying to tell too many stories at once. That's why I hear her talking about those mistakes. They didn't say there were mistakes when Halo 5 launched. They were like, nope, that's what we want to tell. Now we reflect back years later and there were mistakes, right? Oh, that was one thing. Before I get into that Halo thing, Sam Ash brings up a good point. Hold on, let me turn my heater. It's hot. Oh, crap. Holy jeez. I almost tripped over my wire. My goodness. Almost fell on the floor. Anyway. Exactly what Sam says. Sam Ash says, putting their first party day and date on Game Pass devalues their console, in my opinion. That is something that, I did speak about, is that the thing is when you have it, shout out to the 32 people watching, man. Like it, share the video, get the word out. Sam Ash is reading my mind. Man, this grinds my gears. Almost tripped over the friggin' wires. So what he says is that the difference between this streaming thing, before I moved on to the Halo thing, the thing is with the streaming is that Microsoft is putting their games in there day one. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to look at is They are putting their games in their day one and on PC day one. And that has a lot to do with the differentiation between PlayStation Now, xCloud, Game Pass, and this PC venture. Like even if Sony came out now, it's like, guys, we're putting Until Dawn on PC, or we're gonna take God of War, and God of War is gonna be on PC. They probably would never do that because then they'll create the precedent that all their games are going to PC. But if Sony's like, you know what? And we said about before, those PC guys will wait. But Sony goes, the game ran its course. The game basically now could open up to a new market. Microsoft is taking the risk and putting their games in these services day one because they're trying to keep it as an even platform, an equal platform. Even though Microsoft is making games just for specific platforms, such as PC with Gears Tactics and with with Age of Empires, and also with Microsoft Minecraft Dungeons, and making specific mobile games such as Gears Pop, but not making specific games for the Xbox console. That is a huge pet peeve of mine. That is ridiculous. That shows me exactly where all their efforts are going, and that should be a problem for Xbox console fans out there. That is a huge problem, and they need to address that at E3. They need to come out with some console exclusives, but I don't think they're going to. But as long as Gears Tactics and Minecraft Dungeons exists, and Age of Empires, which might come to PC, which might come to Xbox, Microsoft is tripping over their own messaging of one platform, one thing. No, it seems like everybody else is getting the goodies at the cost of the whale, I call them, the guy who pays the most and spends the most on the console, paying for the subscriptions. He's not getting the best. He's not getting all your games. You're putting them on PC exclusively. Why? Keyboard and mouse support, Gears Tactics? You got keyboard and mouse support on Xbox. What's the reason why it's a PC exclusive? If it really is keyboard and mouse support, you're just going to put a keyboard and mouse support game on a console? That's failure. Minecraft Dungeons. What? Why does that have to be a PC thing? More people to play our games, right? They still never confirmed it for Xbox. That's a problem. But if we're going to ignore those games, which a lot of people seem to ignore, yeah, right. Should think next gen 720 if Age of Empires comes. I don't know. They're going to be on that thing on March 12th, and maybe they will talk about controller support and maybe coming to Xbox. But if they talk about DLC and not coming to Xbox, I will do a grind my gears on that one, because again, those three games, the new games that Microsoft announced last year, are PC exclusives. That defeats the whole Phil Spencer mantra of more people play our games. You don't think more people should play Gears Tactics? It's a new genre in a familiar franchise. That is big. Just like Halo Wars 2, you tried. It didn't do too well. And maybe they saw Halo Wars 2 and they said Gears Tactics is just going to be PC focused. But then when you hear about our Xbox games, such as Halo 5 and Halo Infinite and Gears 5, they're like, built from the ground up for PC. It's like, oh, really? That's nice. And you look at your Xbox console, like, you're not getting any love. That's why Microsoft messaging has been really all over the place. More people to play our games. There's a demand of people sitting there on their iPhones at McDonald's that want to play Gears with touchscreen. Really? But what about the console owner? They're the one who pays the most and spends the most, paying $500 for dedicated gaming hardware and paying for an Xbox Live subscription. You don't think that those people deserve an exclusive? And the people that are going to line up and buy your Xbox Anaconda, they don't deserve an exclusive game? That's messed up. And they did it. They did it at last year's E3. And everybody just seems to ignore that. They're like, I don't want Gears Tag. The fact is that Microsoft's making games exclusively for other platforms besides the one that they own. I mean, the one you own. So where are your console exclusives? Oh, we don't believe in exclusives. Oh, okay. Tell that to Gears Tactics. Tell that to Minecraft Dungeons. Those are specifically PC-only games developed by Microsoft. Why would they do that? And your Gears 5, is on PC and Xbox, so they get that too. So obviously they do believe in exclusives. Because you'll be an idiot to believe exclusives don't matter. Go watch my last video. Exclusives do matter. But they don't matter when you don't get them. And that's what's happening. Xbox console owners are not getting exclusives, so they believe that there's no need for exclusives. No, you're just not getting them. You got to get out of the bubble and go walk around the streets and see how everybody else is celebrating with exclusives, and you're not. You got to open up. You got to wake up from the matrix. Take the blue pill. Get out of the matrix. Realize what's going on here. That's what you need to do. I'm on the other side. I'm out of the matrix. I told you. Woo! I'm on the PC. I'm at friggin' what is that place? Zion. I'm in Zion right now. There I am. And now, the biggest fear that I had before, when Microsoft last year announced all our games are going to Game Pass day one, and I was like, oh, damn. I really hope that they don't just start making their games for Game Pass. I really hope they don't take a game and just segment it up, put it episodic, because they're putting it now for a model of a subscription. Don't take a game and give me 2 maps and tell me more maps come later. Don't give me a game that has 3 types of missions and saying, oh, we're going to add more content later, because they want you to stick around and subscribe. Games as a service. They turned all their games into that. Ship it now, patch later. So with that in mind, to all you 30 guys watching, guys and girls watching, I'm going to play the clip from the interview. And, I'm just going to put the phone up to the microphone. I want you to hear it, and then I'm going to talk about it, and we're going to wrap it up. But here we go.
The services. So I'm sort of curious where you see Halo as far as, do you see it as a responsibility to both a single player universe that you came to Halo for and the multiplayer side of things that it's, that the industry seems to be pushing a little more towards on the games as a service side?
Yeah, and I'll step back and answer a little bit broader on that. I think Halo does serve, a lot of, we have research on what players play, but when you look at what our DNA is and you look at research on people, it is a beloved story, and it is like a perfectly orchestrated sandbox for multiplayer as well. One of the things that Bungie saw, as much as we do, you can't take a feature away from Halo. I mean, we need to be able to, but the audience definitely wants it to be additive, which then, Halo 4, biggest Halo game ever. We promised we were not going to do that with Halo 5. Halo 5, biggest Halo game ever. And so I think it's like we keep adding things on versus kind of taking a step back and saying, what is really important? And how do we get that right and make sure that we really are focusing on what's the right story to tell? What's the right multiplayer experience, and then learning what we did with both Halo 5 and MCC, we can keep adding things on. So how do you kind of look at making sure that with each beat that we are doing the right thing? And
universe, and
when you look at what our DNA is and you look at research,
listen to it again.
It is a beloved story, and it is like a perfectly orchestrated
This is woman.
sandbox for multiplayer.
This is Bonnie Ross. She runs Halo, so she's going to know better than anybody what Halo is going to be. Hold on, one more time.
As well. One of the things that Bungie saw, as much as we do, you can't take a feature away.
So you can't take a feature away. So remember, you can't. You remember they took away split screen? I was like, holy crap, right? But listen to what she said. You can't take it away, for the customer. But they can.
From Halo, I mean, we need to be able to, but the audience definitely.
We need to be able to. So the developer needs to be able to take stuff away.
Wants it to be additive, which then.
And we, as gamers, want games to be additive, right? You want Halo 4, and then you want Halo 5 to have all the features of Halo 4 fit, and then Halo 5 be bigger and better than Halo 4. But you don't want them to take features out. Like EA does this all the time with their football games, or their sports games. We'll take out a feature one year and we'll bring it back. It's annoying. You want an additive experience. You want 4 to be better than 5 and 5 to be better than you want 5 to be better than 4 and 6 to be better than 5 and 7 to be better than 6. And if you keep building and building and you go like, oh man, let them fix this stuff. They can fix it. But we want additive experiences. The next game should be better. Just like the next generation console should be additive to what we already have. We're playing 4K now. You wouldn't expect next generation consoles to be running 720p, right? It's additive. You want to add numbers? We add on expectations. That's how I feel. But listen to what she says now.
Halo 4, biggest Halo game ever.
Halo 4, biggest Halo game ever. Okay. I would say Halo Reach was pretty big. But anyway.
We promised we were not going to do that with Halo 5.
They promised they were not going to do that with Halo 5. So Halo 4, biggest game ever. We weren't going to do that with Halo 5. First off, I don't know why. There must be some developmental struggle going on. And, she goes on to say about the tools. And apparently Bungie's tools, they couldn't really work. It was very challenging for creative to work with the tools of Halo. And it seemed like Bungie said, hey, this is the game that we made. We're going to go make Destiny. And they left the skeleton crew of Halo people at Microsoft. And Microsoft's like, we want Halo. And basically these guys were like, humana. And they just scrambled up and made a Halo game. Bonnie, lead this thing. Let's go. And there was a lot of challenges because Bungie knew the engine. Bungie knew the tools. They took that and put it in Destiny, which I think is pretty interesting how Destiny is so close to Halo in its gameplay that they were masters of their own tool, right? And now you gave the tool to somebody who doesn't know how to use it, a bunch of skeleton crew of 343. Microsoft wants a Halo game. But now this is the part that I want to emphasize on. So they promised they weren't going to do that with Halo 5. But they did.
Halo 5, biggest Halo game ever. And so I think it's like we keep adding things on versus kind of taking a step back and saying.
So they keep adding things on, but now they want to take a step back. Halo Infinite.
What is really important? And how do we get that right and make sure that we really are focusing on what's the right story to tell? What's the right multiplayer experience, and then learning what we did with both Halo 5 and MCC, we can keep adding things on,
And there you go. The punchline. So we're going to scale it back. Yeah, right, Eddie? Less is more. What's up, Jemiah? How you doing? So we're going to scale it back. We're going to focus on the core. And the one thing that I didn't like out of that is that she didn't even just talk about the single player, like pulling out the core elements of the single player. Because I can understand that. Maybe you want to focus more on the story, focus on Master Chief and not talk about this big, maybe bigger exponential galaxy out there. You want to focus or hone down on Major Nelson. Not Major Nelson, Master Chief, Major Nelson. But what she says here is the core elements to multiplayer. Whoa. What do you mean? Because I'll tell you this, if you don't remember from Halo 5, Halo 5 didn't launch with Big Team Battle. Remember that? It didn't have Big Team Battle in it. It didn't have Infection. The staples that you think an additive experience. Halo 5 should have had all the game modes from Halo 4 should be in Halo 5 plus new ones. That wasn't the case. But now she says she wants to scale back and what multiplayer works. Are you telling me that we're going to get basically like, Team Deathmatch, Rumble, and we're going to play with those game modes for a little bit, and then like we learned with Master Chief Collection and Halo 5, we could just add it later? Bullshit! Bullshit? You gotta be... I am tired. So what are you going to ship me? A skeleton crew of Halo Infinite. A sea of Halo. And then you're just going to inject or add content later? So am I going to have like maybe 4 multiplayer maps and 2 game modes? And then you're going to go, and you know what? Oh, here comes Big Team Battle and next month's update and a new map. Oh, we heard you want Infection back. We're going to add Infection. Just like how they tried to do of adding basically Warzone. Warzone was a staple of friggin' Reach. And then they added Warzone, not Warzone, I'm sorry, the Firefight. They added Firefight was not there in Halo 5. They tried to throw it into Warzone. Firefight should have been there day one. Nick, I understand you don't want to make these games like bigger than what they are with horrible game modes, but there are certain staples in there. Like, think about if Gears of War didn't ship with a Horde mode. Like this, Horde multiplayer and campaign. Give me it. Multiplayer, single player, Firefight. Go. But I don't want Firefight 1 map, a multiplayer 3 game modes. Look what they did with Crackdown 3. Look what they did with Crackdown 3. 2 maps. 3 for the amount of time that they spoke about the cloud. They basically made 3 friggin' maps for Crackdown, 3 arena modes? Or do you think they made probably 8 or 10 maps, but they wanted just to give you 2 or 3 at launch and start adding more maps as they go on so you say subscribed? Games as a service, put into Game Pass, Eddie. Yeah. For the amount of time that they spoke about the cloud and this, you would think besides 2 game modes and 3 maps, Crackdown would have more. The next test case right now is Gears of War 5. And we haven't heard anything about the multiplayer with Gears of War 5. So it's going to be interesting to see. They're talking a lot about the story. You think the story is going to be episodic? Do you think Gears multiplayer is going to be like, again, like a few game modes, like focused game? Guys, we have a new game mode and we have one of your classic game modes. Here's 3 modes to play in. And here's 4 maps. More maps to come. They already did it with Gears 4, where they basically did like a season pass where they just gave you the maps for free. But you didn't own them. It was a cycle. But is that how Microsoft's going to run their multiplayer now? Just give you like a core of multiplayer game modes and then just kind of give you a few maps and then just can't add maps? Basically, it's like you're paying for a season pass. It's just what's happening is that you're not getting that full game up front. You're getting a partial of a game. And that's what I don't like. Because that sounds like you're artificially extending these games by withholding content. And on top of that, Crackdown 3 is $60. The price is not reflective of the content. Well, maybe in a Game Pass model, okay, yeah, I'm subscribing, I'll pay to get those features later on. But when you're paying $60 for that game, there's nothing on the box that says more content's coming. You put in that game at $60 and you expect the full game to be there. You don't go like, oh, well, I'll just, more content's coming, especially if they don't lay out a roadmap. They just do some videos and apologize for all the stuff that was broken on day one and they have to fix. That's what they do. What's up, DJ, man? D Almighty. What's up, man? We're talking Halo and how, Bonnie Ross's interview saying that, that Halo 4 was the biggest game. Halo 5 was bigger. But now they want to scale it back because they want to scale back and focus on some core elements of the story and multiplayer for Halo Infinite. That's not all right. Grinds my gears, Bonnie Ross. That's me, right? Ryan McCaffrey asked me the question. Grinds. All right. Tell me this. All you gamers and grinders out there. This is what you should have said, right? Halo 4 was the biggest game ever. DJ. Halo 4 was the biggest game ever. And with the power of the next generation consoles, we were set out to make Halo 5 the biggest game ever. And it was. We told stories. People didn't like the story. We tried to do something different. But the biggest problem is that we didn't focus on Master Chief. So with that feedback, and the multiplayer was really good. People liked the season. They liked the content. We added content. But now, with Halo Infinite, we missed on Master Chief. We had to focus on Master Chief's story. And we're going to go biggest. The biggest Halo game you've ever seen. That's why we're calling it Halo Infinite. It is the biggest game we ever made. It is going to focus on the core elements of Master Chief and bring us back to what it means to be Halo. And it's going to be bigger and better multiplayer. Things that you haven't seen before. We're working on it right now with the new engine. Things that you weren't going to see before. The biggest. We're investing everything. That's why we're taking so long to make it, because we're making sure that this is the biggest Halo game ever. Because it's going to be bigger and better than Halo 5. But you hear, we got to focus on core elements. We're going to take a step back. Take a step back. We're going into the next generation. Teraflops. Teraflops, I don't even know numbers to. Double-digit teraflops. We're going into next generation. We got new engines. We're scaling back. And I'm supposed to pay more? I'm supposed to pay $500, $600, get a bigger PC, better, more powerful. And you're taking a step back? Okay. It just seems that you're not going along with the trend of going bigger and better with more power. Like, obviously, the game needs to have some sort of growth, right? And you talk about, oh, games can't be as additive. We have to take stuff back. Oh, no, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear that this is the biggest one, and that's why you're taking so long. And that's right, Sam. Yeah, I saw the same thing. When it was called Halo Infinite and not Halo 6, I said it. I said that Halo is going to be a platform like Minecraft. It is going to be that they can inject content. They'll throw skins in there every month. They'll throw some maps, some game modes. You're going to get spoon-fed a game. And that was my biggest fear when Microsoft said their games are going into Game Pass. I don't want to be spoon-fed a game. There's so many other games out there. We don't have time to sit around and wait for you to get content. Just like people in Crackdown don't have time to sit around and wait for players and matchmaking with your friends. They move on. Division, Anthem. We don't have time. You need to deliver on day one. And you see this with the ratings. You see this with the public reception of the games. And not just the media. Exactly, Kuhn. Yeah. Exactly, man. How do you scale back when it's built from the ground up on PC? Yeah. Well, scale back. Take a step back. Core element. I don't want to take a step back. That's why when I hear they were going to do like it's a reboot or it's like it's a redo and they're trying to get more people into Halo that, you know, new people into Halo. It's like, uh-oh. I hear accessibility. I hear like, I don't know. These are not the key words that I want to hear. You know? And, you know, if you look at God of War, you definitely could say it's a different take of what God of War was. And it was very few weapons. You didn't have like 5 and 6 weapons. Like, I can understand weapons and things like that. Like, I think God of War was like a core game. Like, it was focused on the core. But it felt bigger than ever. It felt huge. And you didn't have to fight. Like, you did fight some big enemies. But, man, the game felt like next generation in evolution of the game. And hopefully the engine doesn't just do a pretty coat of paint on the Master Chief, on what we know on Halo. Like, hopefully this engine allows for more fluid animations, like when he throws the grenades. Like, maybe it allows for better things in the game that it maybe looks like a next generation Halo, which I'm hoping. But even if the visuals and animations are there, I really hope they don't pull out too much content for the sake of Game Pass. And and I think Gears 5 is going to be one of the steps in that direction. So we really need to see if Gears 5 is going to be spoon-fed to us. I could see Rob Ferguson, oh, there's a new game mode, and then you find out that it's just that game mode and Team Deathmatch. Day one. And it's not any limitation with the game or the console or anything like that. It's just the idea of that a majority of your user base now is subscribing to play the game. So you need to change the development of that game to support a subscription model. Meanwhile, you're still selling it as a single product, $60 on shelves, which is kind of like counterintuitive. Like I saw people going around like you're a stupid if you paid $60 for Crackdown. Well, that's not fair. Because it is out there on store shelves. And it doesn't say on the box of Crackdown 3, play it in Game Pass for $10 a month. Oh, no. They want you to pay that $60. They want their cake and eat it too. They want fools to go out there and pay $60 for Sea of Thieves. And they want people to subscribe to it. There's no mark on the box like also available in Game Pass. No. Why would they do that? But the problem is the game is being built for Game Pass. It's a spoon-fed game. They're going to spoon-feed it to you. Or ship it broken. Or ship it buggy. Or ship it with not all the content in there. And then do a Major Nelson video saying, we're sorry, we're going to add more stuff later. And then what are you supposed to do? Play the game or wait for it to be patched or wait for that content to come and go play something else in Game Pass? Is that the future? Is that the future of Microsoft first-party games? I come to your game is look at the, and I said this before, like look at Crackdown's ratings, look at Sea of Thieves ratings, look at State of Decay's ratings, look at Quantum Break's ratings, like look at Record's ratings. There's inherent problems with the game design, with content, with quality. These are issues. It wasn't like, oh, the graphics are not current because it was a budget, or the animation's a little wonky because of budget. No, these are inherent problems in game design decisions. These are issues. These are like people who run the studio issues. How will you approve a game that doesn't have matchmaking multiplayer in it with your friends when that's built into your operating system? How do you ship a game that was in beta for over 2 years, closed beta, mind you, and doesn't have more mission variety, or nobody knows what you're supposed to do? How do you ship a game that's been in development for 3 years that had bugs on the first version, and then the second version has the same bugs with a new engine? Do they put those bugs in there on purpose to fix them later? I don't know. But they're just like, why you guys have such buggy games? And why don't you have a shared world with online servers, Azure Cloud? Like, why aren't you using that? Why do you protect your bases that nobody could use them? Like, who's designing this game? That basically the people that jump into your game and State of Decay 2 are just fodder because they don't advance their campaign at all. They're basically just like NPCs for you. So you just help the lead person and you don't do anything for your own. Like, that doesn't sound like a fun co-op game. You don't want to jump in a guy's game, play 4 hours, and then go say, oh, well, my own game, I have to redo those 4 hours. No, that's like the big no-no on co-op. Like, nobody wants to do that. You want to explore the story together. What you do help us in your game. Like, you don't want to redo it all because nobody's going to want to do co-op then. But these are decisions that they made. And who's making them? I don't know. Phil? The developers? I don't know. But there's a lot of problems in there with game development. And when you don't talk about games, and you keep talking about services, streaming, it makes me think, is the game even important? And another thing that Phil Spencer said in one of his interviews, And, he says so many where he speaks over himself. If you listen to a lot of them, he goes, his job is to make sure that the developer makes money. That sounds kind of cruel, but the developer makes money. I think he says it here. Hold on. So, like, he's like, that's really what it is. The developer makes money. That's the whole purpose of the console thing. That the developer makes money. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but what about the whole point where a gamer enjoys a game, Like, isn't it about the story? I have one. I have it right here. Where is it? I'll get one. But it's just like very business. And I just wish, and who says that? Sam Ash. The Last Guardian took 9 to 10 years to develop and 2 generations. The game still released in quality fashion. It did. And they had a VR too. Which that got me to buy the game. When I played the VR, I was like, oh, so this is what that game's about. But Sam Ash, if you listen to my podcast, my Grinds My Gears a couple episodes ago, you'll see that Last Guardian, when I played that game and beat it, I was like, I felt like I was playing a game that was in a vault. Like, I felt like that game, I'm like, I'm so glad they were able to tell this story. Because this game, if it didn't get developed, this was such a cool story and really powerful, emotional story. And the kid didn't even talk. He would just go, hey, he just yell. But the emotion of the character of that big thing, Falco, I called him Falco. But like, I was glad that they were able to release that game and tell that story. It wasn't about the tech. It was the fact is that there was a story to be told, and they made sure that they told the story. And that was and that's how I felt about that. And I thought that was something that was, I felt like I was glad that they released that game. Let me see if I can find that thing quick. What is this one?
It's really more about
so many interviews. And one last thing I want to touch on, because I'm going to go, guys. I appreciate 35, 34 people watching. Like the video, share it out. Another thing is that just to kind of recap the streaming and the quality of games and all that other stuff. This whole venture, like Microsoft wants their games everywhere, or grow their market and grow as much as they can. This has they always wanted to do this, whether it was with entertainment with Kinect. Remember Kinect, you didn't need a control because the control was a barrier of playing games. You just use your body. More accessibility. And then on top of that, games for Windows Live. And also Live Anywhere. Remember, they had this a lot on their own devices, like Windows Phone, and you get achievements on Windows Phone, and you develop the game for Windows Phone, and you could port it over to Xbox, and your presence. Remember presence, like your Xbox Live gamer tag goes with you to your phone, to an Xbox app, and this has been going on for 2013, 2009. This has been going on for a long time, all in the 360 era. Games for Windows Live. You subscribe and, you're going to play games for Windows. You're going to have online. And they've been trying to do this. And I feel like it's almost like The Matrix Reloaded. And you can tell I probably just watched the movie. So I think that. It's like, Neo is like the 6th version. And, sorry for spoilers on it. But, like, there's been other Neos. There's been other The Ones. And they failed by choosing the wrong door. If you go back and look, just read the Wikipedia inputs for Games for Windows Live and Live Anywhere. Microsoft has tried to put their games, tried to put their presence, or have Xbox Live be everywhere. And it has failed miserably. And now we're just doing it again. But the difference is this time, the 6th Neo, Microsoft's using their exclusive games that they held close to the console and putting them everywhere. That's where this time is different. And this time it matters because now the console is being hurt by the exploratory needs and wants of reaching gamers everywhere. Before they were doing it, making Gears 4, Gears 3, Gears 2, Halo 3 exclusive to the console, developed for the console. Don't you think it's kind of strange that Halo was the first game? Well, you could say, what is it? It's a GoldenEye, but Halo proved that a shooter could work on console when PC was dominating like first person stuff. And you can say GoldenEye was that too. But Halo showed that a console first person shooter can exist. And to think about now, we're at 2019, and we're probably going to hear about, and I know they released Halo, the Halo game on PC, but they stopped. They didn't do 2 and 3 and 4. They only did the first one. And that was years after that was years after. But to think now Halo is going to be everything, going to be on PC, and Halo Infinite goes to PC. And Xbox has keyboard and mouse support. Isn't it so strange that we came like full circle? That Halo proved that you could play a first-person shooter with a controller. And now Halo is going back to keyboard and mouse and PC. When it was like the definition of first-person shooters on consoles. It was the reason how Xbox was created. Xbox was built the Halo box. And now, that franchise that built that box is now the franchise that will kill the box. And Microsoft, you know what? I know that there's people that make it fun. The console's dead. And to Microsoft, the Xbox console is just a means to an end. They want to get it out there to satisfy the people, to pay the subscriptions. Because I think if people weren't paying subscriptions for Xbox Live, I think Microsoft would have killed the hardware. But they can't kill the hardware because those are the only people that are willing to pay for an online play. So Microsoft needs to keep that console hardware out there so that you guys will still pay for Xbox Live. You're subsidizing the PC, the Android users, the iPhone users to get it for free. And maybe Switch. And maybe PlayStation. Who knows? But they need to keep you guys subscribed. But I think if you guys weren't paying, I don't know if Microsoft would still be invested in the console. But, the thing is that to Microsoft, the console sales and developing specifically for the console to increase sales and get developer awareness for the console is over. Now it's just put your game on our platform and we will make sure that it functions on all our variety of devices. I consider that kind of unfocused development. I like to have a traditional method in which a game is built for the hardware that I purchased. And if you look at the success of stuff like that, it works and still does. And nobody's going to abandon it until it doesn't work anymore. That's why Nintendo Switch is selling bigger than better than ever. It's the games, the exclusive games. If the Switch had games that was on your Android phone, people wouldn't be buying it. But it has the franchises. It has the games. Just look what Smash did to the console. Look what God of War did look what Horizon did to the PS4. God of War, Spider-Man. It still moves hardware. And if you don't believe me in that, look at how Apple beat Android tablets. Android tablets are like, your phone, you make it for the phone. It works on the Android tablet. One. It was all mishmash. They were just blown up phone apps. Where Apple goes, you make an app specific for the iPad screen. And the software and hardware merged together, and it was a polished end user experience. The user felt like it was something special for that device, built for that device. You bought a 10-inch Android tablet, and you were just using phone apps because nobody really wanted to develop because it was so easy. And if you look at Microsoft in that respect, they're just putting a game out there, using controller, mouse, keyboard, touch screens, blah, 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 all over the place. It's going to be a mishmash, and I think it's going to hurt the gaming experience. Whereas Nintendo and Sony, like, here's a controller, you're using a controller. Everybody, even playing field, go. And there might be some games that have keyboard and mouse support on PlayStation, but it's not this big thing that Microsoft's doing. But if you look at it and look, that software and hardware should work in tandem. That model works. And how iPhone and Apple have specific apps built for their hardware. That's what makes them unique. That's what makes people go out and buy them, because there's only apps, there's only things that work on their platforms. Where Android in the tablet space didn't really work. They try to spam with all different sizes, 7 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches. Samsung keeps coming out with them. And the app, the biggest, look at every friggin' Android tablet review. The negative all the time. It is an amazing device. The positive is always, it's amazing, the highest resolution screen on par with the iPad. Look at the negative. No optimized apps. App Store limiting. Just phone apps. 100% of the time, every time. That's trying to make it easy for devs. They're going to take the easy way out. They're just going to slap on an app, slap a game onto Microsoft services, and call it a day. And Microsoft's going to do a lot of quality control. But they got to do it with themselves too. But anyway, focused hardware, focused development, great games. Games as a service, they exist. I'm not going to say that they suck. But there needs to be a balance. And if you take a game that was not a game as a service, and now you start spoon-feeding it to me because you think that people are subscribing and want to be spoon-fed a game in pieces, that's not cool. And that's what grinds my gears. And you guys, grinders out there, I want to thank you again coming out. Like, share the video. Have a good weekend. And I'm out. Talk to you guys soon, man.